Hello everyone, my name is Orias, and together with Miss Mila Jane Uhaw, we will be talking to you about the nature and concepts of column writing. Many young writers prefer to write columns than straight news or features because for them, straight news is deemed to be boring, covering press conference and reporting, while feature stories involve too much reporting and require discipline to follow a set of structure. But in columns, which are more essentially opinion pieces, it is more free writing and therefore easier. Anybody can be trained to write straight news because it is very mechanical. Feature articles, though, is also somewhat formulaic and are harder because they require good writing. But column writing is the hardest type of writing because it requires good thinking. It is your opinion and you have to stand on it no matter what criticism it may encounter along the way. But before we proceed to our discussion, let us first define what is column in journalism. If you are familiar with editorial writing, what do you think is the similarities of these two and their distinction from each other? Well, columns are written by columnists who are writers who only share their opinion on campus, community, or statewide issues and rarely do any reporting. Columns represent the views and opinions of those individual authors and not necessarily the opinions of every staff member of the Plainsman or the editorial staff. While editorials, on the other hand, are the majority opinion of the editorial board, which is made up of all the editorials or the Plainsman. Editorials express the official opinion of the newspaper but do not represent the shared opinion of staff members that are not on the editorial board. But both of these pages in the newspaper expresses opinions. The purpose of column articles is to inform, interpret, and to a large degree to fiscalize. To inform us with the latest issues in the society, to interpret the affirmative and negative sides, and of course, after analyzing, it comes with the fiscalization. Now let's come with the types of column. The first type of column is the editorial or the news commentary column. It comments or interprets timely subjects. Let's put it this way. When the columnist of the Craftsman publication, for example, write about his stand on the implementation of the policy to use the overpass when going to another part of the campus, the article or the opinion he is making falls under this type of column, which is the editorial news commentary column. The second one is the variety or humor column. This is entertainment feature made of short items such as philosophical comments, a play on names, local humor, parodies, and quotes. We usually see this type of column in the internet or in the television. The columnist who writes variety column make funny approach to deliver their criticism or comments about something so that the viewers will be entertained and at the same time will be influenced by their stand towards that certain subject. But in using this type of column, we have to be very careful not to take it for granted to make fun with somebody's personal life. The third one is the personal or chatter column. It is a column about well-known persons. These persons includes celebrities and politicians, or in the school settings, this could be those in the administrative position, the teachers and student leaders. We are all familiar with Lolit Solit. She is very known when it comes to criticizing celebrities and politicians, and her personal opinion is being followed and being commercialized by the mass because her subjects are those famous personalities. In the campus paper, the columnist can make a column based on the decision or actions made by someone who is famous in the campus, and most probably those concerns has to do with the majority. The fourth one is the hodgepodge column. This is a column of various topics that are separated by mustache like asterisk. Hodgepodge means a confused mixture. Here the author lumps together adds and ends of information like a poem here, announcement there, a pointed paragraph, a modernized proverb, a joke, or an interesting question. Well, this is also up to the style and the strategy of the columnist to show her opinion in various ways. The fifth type of column is the opinion column. It concerns about the reader's views and may take the form of the poll or inquiring reporter and the letter to the editor. We usually encounter this type of column when there is a big decision to be made for the sake of all individuals in the society or within the school. This is a very critical type of column as it is actually after an important matter to be decided through poll or through gathering of public opinions as a support of the columnist's personal claim to. The other type of column is the exchange column. This is a collection of items called by the exchange editors from papers of other schools. So from the term itself, this type of column came from papers being shared or exchanged by schools. The next type of column is the book column. It consists of several short reviews which help the reader find titles for book reports. The review is limited to 50 words. The book column is somewhat similar to book review, as the reader or the columnist try to give feedback to a specific book for the reference of the future readers. So that's all for the types of column. Now let's proceed with the tips in writing a column. So we are going to know, or we are going to learn on how are we going to write an effective column article. So the first one is to write with conviction. It means to put forward your opinion as something you truly believe in. In writing your column, your stand should be very clear to you as you are the columnist or you are the one who is writing this, so that you will be able to write with conviction and make your readers realize that what you believe in is the right thing to believe, and they will be encouraged also or influenced to believe in what you believe in. The second one is to maintain your focus. Make your column about one thing and one thing alone. In a certain topic, there are lots of aspects. That is why you have to make a focus and stick to it as much as possible in order for you to prevent confusion among your readers. You have to make sure to always spin your focus. In this way, you will be able to deliver your thoughts clearly. The third one is to understand opposing viewpoints. You must be mindful of the opposing arguments. As a columnist, you are dealing with issues in the society or within the school. Before writing, you have to weigh first the affirmative and negative arguments. If you choose the other side, you also have to consider the other side or the opposing argument. This is for you to be able to defend your claims on your stand along the way in a brilliant way. If you wish to be an effective columnist, you really have to be mindful not just with building your argument alone, but also through considering the opposing argument as well. The fourth one is to refer to facts. Your arguments, however logical, will not carry weight unless they are accompanied by facts that support your position. In the field of journalism, rule of thumb will never be effective. In every article in different categories, they all require facts as your supporting details. In column writing, since most of the time we will be dealing with different issues and the opinion of the columnist matters all the time, your article should always be basing on facts, because this will make your argument very strong. It is not enough that you have your claim in a logical way. Instead, you must prove that what you are trying to make a stand with is actually right through giving facts as your supporting details. The next one is to use analogies. Analogies are used in illustrating point, especially when the topic you're writing about is somewhat complicated. In column writing, most of the time you will be dealing with complicated issues. Sometimes it will be very hard to explain your point just by stating it as it is. In this case, you have to use analogies by giving examples, illustration, and by emphasizing your thoughts. This will appear more effective for your readers to understand your point in writing that certain column. The next one is to be critical. People like reading columnists who dare to criticize real-life people, not just nameless concepts and policies. So when you are writing, you are after with something that will make impact towards the society. And that's why, if you are a columnist, you are a critical thinker as well. You are not just going to waste your efforts in writing something that has no significance at all, right? So when writing, you have to think more than 2 times on what you really want your article or your stand to be. The next one is to do reporting. It is possible to write columns without doing any reporting, but the best columns typically involve some form of reporting. When we say reporting in column articles, we're trying to inform our audience about the topic as much as possible. We are giving them complete details about a certain issue. Although sometimes there are columnists that do not include reporting and choose to focus on giving their opinion alone, still, the best column is when the columnists do reporting as well. So the next one is to localize and personalize. You have to localize your story whenever possible. In writing column, as much as possible, you have to make your article localized, meaning you make sure that it is something that the local is familiar with, and as much as possible, choose a certain aspect of that issue that is not similar with other column articles. In short, you have to make your column personalized. The next one is to be passionate. Being passionate, generally, people do not like to hear a soft, passive voice when they read columns. So in writing a column, you have to be passionate in a way that you are choosing your words properly. It is advisable to be in active voice also, because the way a writer constructs his or her wordings, or the way in delivering the thoughts or the arguments, will always matter towards the reader. Yes, and the next one, and I think the last, is to provide a solution. It is the last but not the least, so do not just raise an issue. If you are a columnist, you are not just after with raising an issue in our society, but you are also responsible in providing your solution. Since you are trying to make an opinion, put it into extent by providing effective solutions with that particular issue, because in this way, you will be tested on how strong is your claim by providing the solution you think is the right thing to do. So that's all for the tips in writing column. Now we will be proceeding to the suggestions for beginning columnists. So when writing a column, you have to do this following. So the first one is to give the reader timely, helpful information. Since you are a writer, always consider the timeliness of your informations and make sure that it will not confuse your readers. Instead, it will be helpful for them to probably come up also with their own stand about that certain issue. So when they read your argument about that certain topic or issue, make sure that by providing your informations, they also be encouraged to have their own stand about the topic. So that's it. That is the first tip or the suggestion for beginning columnists. The second one is to develop a structure and keep it right on a regular schedule. If you are planning to write, you have to consider first on how you want the structure of your article to look like. You have to know the flow of your article from the beginning up to the end. And if you already have the structure, always check on it and keep this by following it. The third one is to make sure you write simple and short sentences and paragraphs, because your skill as a columnist will not be rated by having complicated and long sentences, but this will actually bore your readers and may lead them to stop reading or to skip your article. So as much as possible, use simple words and short sentences for better reading experiences of the readers too. So the fourth one is, in personal columns, use local names and places. It is important for your readers to know exactly what or where is your article referring to. For instance, you include Juan de la Cruz in your article, but your readers don't know this name. Instead, they know Cardo. So in this case, you have to include the name Cardo at the end of the name Juan and followed by the surname like Juan Cardo de la Cruz, so that your readers will know who is this guy you are referring to. And the same goes to places as well. So the fifth one is, let others speak for you by use of quotes and references. So if you're trying to show your stand, such as, for example, education should be strengthened, it is better to say this opinion of yours through quotation of someone who is prominent in the field of this topic, prominent in the field of education. Or else you could cite references coming from different studies related to education as well. So the sixth one is to learn the difference between a column and a news story. Column and news story has so much differences, and as a columnist, you have to be aware about this. You have to know that in a column, you could have your own opinion about a certain issue, but in news story, you are tasked to report only the details as it is, and you are never allowed to indicate your personal opinion about the topic. So I think that's all. I hope you have learned now about what is column and how to craft it. So now, let's come with the don'ts in writing a column. So if there are do's in writing a column for beginning columnists, there are also those things that we should avoid. Okay, the first one is to use technical or complex words. So we should not use technical and complex words. As what I have said earlier, always use simple and not complex words so that the people will be encouraged to read the article without any difficulties with the wordings. The second one is, do not talk in jargon or unfamiliar terms. Column writing and all other writings in the field of journalism should be written in a formal manner, using formal and not jargon and unfamiliar terms, because this will also impact your column article. Always remember that one of the characteristics of a column is its formality that reflect also with the used terms. So the third one is, do not include too much detail or material. You should be stimulating interest, not exhausting a subject. Always include important details only in your column article, because sometimes if you include those informations that are not unnecessary anymore, it will only exhaust your readers. You should always consider the interest of your readers, as it will be an important factor for them to finish reading your work. So I think that's all for my part. I hope you have learned something from my discussion. Thank you and God bless us all.